and it's 7 o'clock, you know what time it is. It's time to chasing gazillions. Ain't the same as making millions.
But getting closer in the 301.
Wednesdays with Fernando and Anthony, season 2, episode 2, coming at you. Let's how do we get this thing off? Okay.
Twos are wild.
Okay,
here we go. It's go time.
There we go.
Do this thing.
Here we go. There you go. You all know what it is, right?
Yeah.
Keller Williams, Kappa agent, Kappa, you know. But for those of you all who didn't tune in for episode 1 of season 2, it is still me. I know.
Chrome.
But I'm chroming it up. And I'm liking it. I think I'm gonna be keeping it. My lady don't like it.
Of course she doesn't, because it doesn't look good. Your lady's smart. She's so smart.
I know she is. Smart. I know she is. She is smart. I know.
Tech education.
I am so blessed, man. But I went on and did it. And you know what? I'm gonna tell you this. For those of you out there who thinking about going this way, I'm gonna tell you this right off.
Don't do it.
Off the break.
Don't do it.
But here's what I'm gonna tell you. I go 2 days. I'm straight. You don't see no hair, but when I wake up day 3, dude, my head is on fire. I'm itching like the Dickens, man. I just can't take it. So now I'm shaving it like, dude, the other day, when I first cut it, I was like nervous to even shave it. I thought I was gonna cut myself. Now I'm like, shit, man, I got to
it's become work. It's become a little bit of a job in the morning.
It is.
Your routine has been increased by 3 minutes.
It has. However, it is true what they say. You do save that money going to the barbershop.
Oh, here we go. Well, it's only been a couple of weeks, so yes, I guess it is true. I go to the barbershop every couple of months, and I go upstairs in my bathroom. My wife cuts my hair.
Well, there you go. Your wife knows how to cut hair. I'll tell you a story.
Free.
My lady used to cut my hair back in the day, and she don't know how to do it. That's when it was tight, early in the day. Look, man, how was your week?
It was uneventful. I had a couple issues, but worked through it. Got some family stuff going on.
How's your mom, man? How's that working out with your mom?
It's gonna be fine. She's gonna be fine. I'm heading back down there in a couple weeks. I really didn't have a real visit with her last time I was there because of the COVID.
Okay.
With my daughter, but I am gonna be back there in a couple weeks. Just alone. Gonna try to spend 4 or 5 days with her.
Nice.
Should be good. Trying to get the year started. I had a closing, which is good.
We always like to hear that.
Yep, working on a couple agreements that have been really hard to get through. The lawyers are really starting to get involved in our business.
Okay, don't talk bad about lawyers because we got a lawyer coming on the show today.
I know, but on the front end, they're starting to get involved in our listing agreements. It's really, I get it, man. They want everything to be legally right. I'm doing a note sale in New Jersey that we're just trying to do things the right way. And the client's like, we already signed this agreement. I said, I know we did, but it wasn't signed properly. The language in the agreement wasn't right. So I had to go back and get a re-sign. By the way, the toughest thing in the business, getting that second signature on the same document with changes. As you know, Anthony, it is nothing tougher than that. Because they're wondering, well, what happened?
What happened?
Now
I had remorse in the first. I wasn't even sure I was going to sign it the first time.
I didn't want, First time I really didn't want to sign it. I signed it because I like you. Now I don't like you. You want me to sign it again? I don't think so.
Because my suspicions were you didn't know what you was doing in the first place. Now you've proven it.
Yes. So it's a problem. It's my first note sale. And the agreement had to be done through Hilco Corporate Finance, not just through Hilco Real Estate, because they're our governing body, and they're also our licensed unit that you have to be licensed when you sell a note because it's considered a security. So there's a lot of moving parts, and they're like, we have to be part of the agreement. So I had to add all their language. Oh, that was a big beep, beep.
I
beep,
know, I
beep.
know, I know.
They backed
It's
up,
a
and
tough
now
one.
I
It's a
can't
tough
get
one.
them to sign it. I've tried everything.
Oh,
I've told them
you can't get them to sign it.
I can't. Oh, they won't sign it now. I mean, they're like, "Why do we have to have this language? You've already agreed to it." And I'm like, "I know. We're just trying to do things right, the legal way, the right way." And they're like, "We like the old agreement." They like the old agreement because they had so many outs in it. This agreement,
Oh,
they've tightened it up, and it is the hardest thing you do in any kind of sales. But in real estate, you get an agreement signed, and then you got to bring it back with changes. So you got to sign it again. It's difficult.
it's
I'm
tough.
doing the best job I
It's
can to get it signed, but
tough.
been a problem. So I've been
Yeah,
working on it
me
for the
too.
last couple weeks.
I know, I know. Well, that's
So
good though. You're doing some business. I got some business in this week.
yeah, of course you did. You always do.
Bowling's working, right?
Bowling's always working when he's
You
not
know,
shaving that hair.
that's right, man.
So what's going on with you? What happened?
Well, so I have a new listing, some retail space coming to market at 1004 Florida Avenue, 2,300 square feet of first floor retail space and lower level space, right at the corner of Florida and West Virginia Avenue. I have no idea why I always go into my radio voice when I start talking about my
I know.
listing. I
What the
can't
hell
help
was
it. It's
that?
like it's
Sounded
like the
like a
dude is like
robot.
always on. I think it's because our guest, Aimee Griffin, is a woman and a beautiful one at that. And I just can't help myself, man. I think that's what it is. But anyway, the listing is great space at the corner of West Virginia and Florida Avenue, right at the entrance to Gallaudet University. This is going to be some great space. I think it'll work great for salon and pet grooming. There's a lot of people walking their dogs around here.
It's a good
I'm going
sign.
to have it open this weekend, Saturday, 10-1, before I go to my Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity meeting on Saturday.
Oh, still pimping the fraternity. Lovely. Lovely.
And I picked up a beautiful new home that's coming to market. I'm going to be bringing to market too here in the Bowie community. A beautiful 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath home on a full basement. Oh man, on a cul-de-sac at 10602 Terrapin Hills Court. I know Terrapin. I know. There you go for you, man. That's what I do.
Speaking of Terrapin, future guest on the show,
Yes,
Dr. Bias, Lenny's mom.
that's right.
On the show.
It's going to be on our show. We already have that book.
Discussing on the 15th.
Hey, for those of you all out here looking at the show and coming on, you need to know that this is season 2 of Chasing Gazillions.
We're stacking up the guests.
That's right. Chasing Gazillions, not the same as Making Millions. And we are booked through February. So I'm not saying you got to run and get on this show, but after you see our guest today, who we want to bring on now, Aimee Griffin. I have known this professional, this stalwart attorney here in our community for some time now. And I'm not even going to begin to try to tell you all the things she's involved in. I'm going to let her do that when I bring her on. But suffice it to say, this is today's session on succession planning for your Black-owned businesses, legacies, wills, trusts, and estates. This is the program that you all want to be a part of. Now, I know some of you all are probably over here celebrating history with Maryland's first Black governor, and you're at the ball, and we would have been at the ball had we given enough to be invited to be at the ball
tonight.
Is
that tonight?
Yeah, it is tonight.
Oh, I would have loved to have gone to that.
I know, but hey, but we're happy that, hey, guess what? Let me hold on because we're at the top of the minute. Bring on our guest.
Don't take the big screen.
No, I'm not gonna take the big screen.
Thank you. So rude. So rude. Sorry,
I know,
Aimee.
so rude. Oh, and now I done something here. I'm still handling the technical support, Aimee, and I done messed up and got this thing over here, and I don't know what I've done. Okay, there we go. There we go. All
What
right.
about the joiner? Aimee Griffin Joyner. Where's the joiner part in her name, Anthony?
Hey, dude, now I'm not gonna get up into another woman's household now.
I mean, let's
Now
let's
you
not
go
short that
now.
name.
If you don't have enough sense to know that if the John ain't there no more, baby, he ain't there no more.
No. He is alive and well. The marriage is amazing. 3 years in, shoot, we got this.
Yeah, but
Okay,
put the
now.
joiner in there. Come on now.
Because
3 years, shoot, they thought they wasn't going to make it.
Wasn't there. I was like,
So professionally, I still am Aimee Griffin.
Okay, well, but at 7 p.m. here on our show, we wanted you to be relaxed. And you know what I was telling her, Fernando? I don't know that we've had a guest come on this late to our show that looks like this stepping, at the end of the day, coming on our show. I mean, this is so thank
I'm
you.
going to say that she gussied up a little bit before the show.
No,
did not. Thank you very much.
No, this is the end of the day, dude.
Good for you. Good for you. I got one question for you before you introduce yourself and tell us all about yourself. Are you in a relationship to Florence Griffin Joyner?
Unfortunately, I can't claim her. Besides, I'd like to, but no.
Olympian.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't you tell us a little about yourself, Aimee? Your career, what you do, what you've done, what you want to enlighten us with today. I'm looking forward to it.
So, what do? I am an attorney, but I'm an attorney that is focused on how do we protect legacies. So I do that through estate planning, business succession planning, that sort of thing. That's what I do. It's like we're community builders. That makes a big difference. So how I got here was because I saw stuff falling apart, right?
Right.
I was running a Black chamber, working with business owners, and the business owner died. And I realized, this is a problem. All the work that he did to create this wealth is lost. And so, in America, 50% of folks don't have an estate plan. In the Black community, 70% don't have an estate plan. So that's why we keep starting generation after generation, starting over financially. So I said, okay, no. What can I do? When you see that need, you're supposed to meet the need. And so that's what I did. At 40, I went to law school and said, we got to.
At 40?
At 40.
Wow.
I didn't realize that you just graduated from law school a couple years ago, did you?
Here we go.
Good point.
Good. He cut that hair. Now he thinks he's 40. That's the problem.
Smooth. That was really smooth.
Yeah. Like his head.
Well, that's fantastic, Aimee. So tell us, dear, you're here. Your practice is here in the DMV. You say you went to law school. You went back after several lifetimes of something. You saw a need. You jumped into it. You went to law school. You've been out. Talk to us about, legacy, your team, and, if I'm sitting out here listening right now, and I'm thinking, yeah, another lawyer. What? Right? Another lawyer. Tell me why my experience in contacting you and your group. What am I going to see? What am I going to encounter? How, that sort of thing.
Well, I will tell you a really, really cool thing about our firm is we're almost all Black women, right? So Black and brown women, we are all Black or brown women. And we are when you think about estate planning, you think sort of, this is maudlin. We are a good time, right? And so but it's really not about you. It's about the people that you love, right? It's about we've all seen the nightmares. We've all seen those crazy stories about the GoFundMe accounts, people fighting at funerals and carrying on. We've all seen it. But if you love folks, you're not going to let that happen. Right? You can make that choice. You can make that decision. And so we are thinking about, we're not really trying to talk about, okay, yep, you died, this is it. But we're talking about, tell me about your grandchildren. Tell me about your vision, your dreams, your future, your goals for your family. What does that look like? And then
Mhm.
with that conversation, especially I love talking to real estate folks who know the value of the transformational value of real property.
Okay.
Right. And so with that, how do we keep our houses? You guys spend a lot of work getting people into houses. We're trying to keep them to stay in there. Right. Not just stay for their lives, but for their kids' lives and their kids' lives. That our 57% of our net worth in the Black community is in our real estate. We got to protect it.
Mhm.
Right. If we don't plan anything, we're going to lose it
That's right.
with
That's right.
each generation, right? Because if you pass away and the only thing you have is a house, but you got some debt, that your family's not going to keep that house, right?
That's true. That's so
So we
true.
got to be
So,
thinking about how do we protect that.
What do you mean by that? So if I have a house with $100,000 mortgage, right, and it's worth 400,000, and I die without any kind of estate planning,
Let me tell you what happens. Let me
so
tell you what happens.
yeah, tell me what happens in that scenario because you said your family wouldn't get anything, but
No,
go
so
ahead.
what happens is, so I live in Maryland, so I'm going to use Maryland as an example.
So do I. The lovely
Oh,
state of
there
Maryland.
goes works.
The
And Maryland
301.
is a
The
particular
301.
estate. Well, Maryland is really important because it has an inheritance tax, right? So, but it's only for certain kinds of folks. But let's say let's not me. Let's say Wilma Flintstone. Wilma Flintstone went in the hospital. She had COVID, stayed there for a couple of weeks, and then died. All she had to leave her family was her house, right?
Mhm.
But what happens is she has debt now.
What do you mean
She has
debt?
debt because of the cost of staying in the hospital.
Well, doesn't have insurance cover that?
There is rarely, let's say 90% of, not 70% of bankruptcies are due to medical costs, right? It covers a lot of it, but not all of it. You will have a bill. Then when the first thing that happens when if you have a will or if you don't have a will, if you go through probate, what will happen is they'll say, Wilma died. They'll put a notice in the paper. Wilma died. Does she owe you any money? You have this time period to come forward to say if she owes you any money.
Mm.
So the hospital says, yep, she owes us $527,000 or $100,000. In order to get anything, you have to satisfy those creditors first. I'm not even talking about American Express and all those other things that may come forward. But those creditors need to be satisfied before you can transfer the other assets.
Mm. And then that's what's causing these family members facing this medical liability that they weren't
Right. So that's the way
expecting.
to write it. But in other cases, what happens if you have one house and two kids? How do you give half a house away?
Okay. Well, that's common. I have two children.
Right. So how do you plan
I have
to,
3.
like, if you put two kids' names on the house? Now I say your kids are the best kids in the world, but it's the people they marry.
Oh,
The people they
oh.
marry that say we need to get our half of the house. And so what I love is that real estate appreciates, money evaporates. So if indeed that house is sold, we know the money is going to evaporate, right?
That's
Because
beautiful. That's beautiful, by the way. That you can put on a T-shirt.
I love
but
that.
we get to plan and just make a decision. Now, what I encourage people to do is get a trust. If you have multiple kids, get a trust. And then that house can become an income producing property. You can also create rules. One of the things that I always say to people is, okay, we can make a way to compromise. So if, Pebbles and Bam Bam can't get along, but Pebbles doesn't have the financial stability to buy out Bam Bam, we can have a deal where it's like over time. We can make the property income producing property. We can
Mhm.
figure out those ways in which, because at this point, if you put Pebbles and Bam Bam's name on the deed, either one of them can say, I want the house sold.
Okay. Well, it's interesting you bring that up. And let me ask you about, you mentioned you mentioned the word trust. I want you to talk about some of the other more common tools that business owners, individuals who own real estate or buying real estate might want to use. And let's start with the trust. And can my client who purchased the home or property, she has a mortgage on it with a particular lender, and now she's heard this program today. She wants to put the property into a trust. There are you? Is she capable of putting it into a trust while still having a lien, a lender on it? And talk about some of the other tools that we want to use.
So let's also realize there are two categories of trust: the revocable trust and an irrevocable trust. And it's very important to know the difference, right? The revocable trust is an extension of you. The great thing about it is it creates a rule book. Both trusts create rule books, right? You get to create the rules under what happens to your stuff. But if we are thoughtful about, let's say, like, we can say all sorts of things about it, but let's just say basically, you ain't selling this house, right? But let's say you have a mortgage. If it's a revocable trust, a revocable trust, that's absolutely fine. You can put that, you can maintain your homestead exemption, all of those things when it's in a revocable trust, right? And so we encourage people to make sure that the homeowner's insurance knows that the title has been changed to the trust, but there's no, and the mortgage company to know, but there is no way that they can call the loan or anything like that. Right?
Is the trust not a new entity, and that's a transference of the property from you to the trust?
The revocable trust is an extension of you.
Nice. I like that.
It uses your social security number as an identifier. So it's an extension of you.
Good.
Okay,
Right.
now getting back to the
There's no recordation and transfer tax, nothing like that.
Okay.
Getting back to the Wilma scenario.
Wilma.
So if she had a trust or a will in place, what would that scene look like afterwards? After Wilma died, poor Wilma died of COVID. I'm a big fan of the Flintstones too, by the way. Big fan.
So the big determinant is avoiding probate. Right? Because when you go through the probate process, those are the things that give the creditors access. So if you only have $47.50 going through probate, and I have a $100,000 bill, that bill goes right in the coffin with Wilma, because there's nothing to satisfy it. They can only tap into those things that are available through probate.
So you're saying we want to try to avoid probate?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That is the number one goal. The probate is, I think, one of the best governmental scams we got going. Right.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Because the more you had to go through probate, the more you pay in court fees. Right. So the more I leave to my folks through the probate process, the more I pay. But if we can avoid probate, there ain't no court fees.
So if you have a will,
yeah,
then you don't have to do a probate, right? Is what you're saying?
Absolutely not. That's exactly
so the creditors are not alarmed that Wilma
she's saying
has
that's
died of
opposite.
COVID.
Hey, Fernando, one question at a time. Right. Ask the question, get the answer. She's saying that's not correct what you just said.
No. The will directs the probate process. Right? You can take the will to the court and they will still direct it. All of those things that you listed, I mean, it's great to have a will because it tells you what all the assets are, but it directs the probate process. A trust avoids probate.
Okay. So if you have a will, Wilma has a will. Wilma transitions and is deceased. Bam Bam comes in. He goes in the closet, wherever. He gets the will. He says, wow, Mama had a will, and here are her instructions on what she wanted done with her stuff. And then Pebble says, hey, let's take it to probate. And Bam Bam says, no, with a will, I don't have to go to probate. And you're saying that's not correct.
Right. So this is the thing that even though that, we watch TV all the time, you hear the reading of the will, right? And you see the reading of the will, and it leads you to believe that that's all I need to do is have a lawyer read it. and then I'm good. Nope. It's just TV. That's just good TV, because the probate process takes way too long for a season to happen through
Right.
for TV. And so while we are there, but there are all, let me just also point out, there are other ways to avoid probate for a house.
Okay.
And in Maryland, there's a thing called a life estate deed, where it's a deed that says, I'm keeping this house during my lifetime, but when I die, it transfers to, Bam Bam. And that also avoids probate.
Oh, okay.
And inheritance tax.
And so the inheritance tax, it avoids inheritance tax too. But what is the key with Maryland and inheritance is the relationship. So if Wilma leaves it if you leave it to your children or to your parents, there is no inheritance tax, or your spouse. There's no inheritance tax. But your niece, your siblings are cool, but niece, nephews, cousins, friends, there's an inheritance tax.
Okay. Nice. I didn't know about that will thing and the trust, and we want to avoid probate. I
And
hear
so
you.
also realize, the will is one of those things. It's a public thing. You will have people, I don't know if y'all are, I'm sure you guys don't do this, but there are many realtors who send people to go to the probate office and read the petition to see who died, so that they can see what real property is. Because we get phone calls all the time from people who've read the petition when they're filed, before the judge rules on it. They've read the petition that was filed and said, okay, Wilma's dead. She lives at 4242 Pebble Road. And do you want to sell it? So we get tons of phone calls all of the time for people who are out there watching and waiting, right?
They're hustling.
Because they
They're
know
hustling, Amy.
Well,
They're hustlers.
I know
Come on.
you said we're not those type of
y'all aren't
realtors.
those type of people.
I'm
Y'all
not
would
that
listen.
smart. I'm not that smart. I wish
Really,
I was.
because I'm sitting here listening, thinking maybe I should also be. I'm hearing a new source of potential leads here that I've been overlooking. You're saying I'm
Potential.
supposed to,
Very high potential. Very high potential.
right? I mean, because Wilma's gone,
Yeah.
the house
Wilma's
is probably
gone,
going to be sold.
But let me just tell you, for anybody, if anybody is watching this and they do that, the first thing that I would ask you to respectfully check
Yeah.
is, because all of this stuff is on the petition. It's all
There's
there. All the
spouse
information is there.
There's the
Check
spouse
and see if their children live in the house before you ask them to buy it, right? Because if their kids are living there, they don't really want to move out just because,
Just because Wilma's gone. Now
Mama's gone, but I don't want to be homeless now. I lost my mama, but
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's
So
check
that's
and
the other
see.
thing that we
Okay.
encourage people.
All
I
right.
just, because it's so, sometimes it feels so disrespectful when you're calling someone whose mama just died to say, "Can I buy your house?"
Ambulance chasers, Anthony.
Well, maybe that's why that's not business we do,
Right.
or have done.
But but there are times when we do sell that property, right? When property is to be sold, if there aren't any children, or if the children aren't here and they don't want it, that is legit. However,
Right. Well, I don't want to get us off on another story or line on ways to generate business for Fernando and Anthony. That's not our show tonight.
That wasn't the plan, right?
No.
It can be. What's wrong with that? I mean, everyone's got to eat, Anthony. Come on.
Well, that's true. But we want to be respectful of Aimee and what she's sharing with the people. We don't want to be sitting here saying, "Oh, really? I should start going down to the courthouse and trying to give me a listing."
But so again, one of the goals is, of course, to avoid probate with your real property if you want to preserve it, right? If the goal is to preserve the property, you want to avoid the probate process with it.
Let's talk about this succession planning. When my children were young, very young, my daughter now graduate from Xavier in New Orleans, HBCU. She's in grad school, 24. My son, 20, down at the University of Memphis, junior, pledge Kappa Beta, the greatest fraternity in the world. Okay. So
Infomercial.
but when they were younger, they went to Tots Developmental School. And it was literally a little house, a white house uptown. And Miss Davenport, she ran it, and she had been running this little house and people through nurseries for like 45 years. And a lot of her, people who, it was like infant or something, not quite infant, but little people to about third grade or something like that. And then they went on to private schools. I was there with the mayor's kid, blah, 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 blah. Okay. But here's the thing.
Name dropper.
This is what plus ones do.
I was there with the mayor's kid. Not Anthony, his kid. Not Anthony. Anthony wasn't there. You'd be a freak if you were there. It'd be creepy if you were there with the mayor's kid. All right.
That's right. So, but when Miss Davenport died, that 45-plus-year-old business, although her son was intimately involved in the management and running, he was a teacher there at the school. But within 2 years after she died, the school was gone. No succession planning, no somebody else stepping in, no transference of that institutional knowledge and wealth, on and on and on and on. I'm sure there's 100 reasons why it happened. Tell us about, for our small businesses, for entrepreneurs out here who are building businesses, like Fernando and myself and others, what can we do? Can we actually participate and use words like succession planning in our businesses?
We absolutely should, right? Because we work so hard for that which we have, that what we've created. If we don't make a plan, it's like having a fire sale, selling off the parts, right? And it's just what we in our firm talk about, the 5 Ds of succession planning.
Okay.
Death, disability, divorce, departure, and dissolution. Those are the 5 things that we build strategy around.
Okay.
Right? Now, it is, if you don't have, a lot of people are solopreneurs, right? Or just sort of the sole owners, even if they have employees. But if you don't create the legal systems in place that can create someone to buy it completely, but if you don't, or even to manage it while you're disabled, your business can be lost. I had both a physician and a dentist who didn't have any plan in place. And it created a mell of a mess, right? And thinking about how do we want it structured if we don't have the proper structure, folks couldn't even get into the bank accounts if you don't have that plan in place. And that's what we encourage people, one, to not only to have it in place so they can operate, but having the strategy in place so that who's going to be the management team, who and how much authority do we want to give them to even just sort of be the gap filler. That's the conversation that we have. That's what we should be strategically planning for.
Okay.
Right?
And during that discussion on these 5 Ds, you mentioned about trust. Are there any other tools that go along with these 5 Ds that these solopreneurs, solo owners should be thinking about and considering? And where does one start? What's the first one? Basic, okay. I heard the program.
You know what? Something as simplistic as, for business owners, operating agreements and shareholders agreements.
Operating agreements.
Operating for, if you have an LLC, you should have, and most of us who have a solo member or even 2-member LLCs don't spend the time in creating an operating agreement that truly strategically builds out the manual of running the business, right? The legal manual of running the business. Okay. Who can step in? Who's in charge? Who does what? How do we make that happen? And I tell people all the time, I probably have dissolved more LLCs and or corporations because of the lack of a good plan, right? Not because of profitability, but because we didn't have a good agreement onto how well we should operate together, or how should I operate independently if I'm a solopreneur, right? We need to be thinking about how do we strategically interface, because if we're clear with it, if we're able to manage it out, we're able to build much for the future. And so I say to people all the time, it's best to talk before the money or before a whole lot of money is lost, because those are the times when you don't really want to talk a whole lot.
Right.
I mean, are you like what? You should be busy as hell, obviously, from everything you're telling us, and hopefully you are. So, what is the reason why people wouldn't do what you're asking them to do? Because it all seems to make logical sense, especially with people with any middle class or above, even lower middle class could use your services. What is is it cost? Is it expensive to do everything you're asking to do? Is that why people don't do it? I don't know what would stop somebody from doing
What's
it.
the barrier?
Yeah.
The barrier is people don't want to think about
Dying.
possibility of not being here,
Yeah.
right?
I
'Cause
notice you avoid
people
the
don't
word
even know the
death.
cost. What?
You try to shy away from the word death.
I
I've
said
heard
it.
it here this evening. You
I
stay
said it.
away from it. Is that what it is? People don't like saying mama's going to die, and that's just a fear, a phobia, or something.
So now, you know what? It's people don't want to talk about the fact that they're not going to live forever. They don't want to talk about the fact that they're getting sick, going to be sick, right? Or any of those things. They always want to think about life is going to be perfect, and so we're people procrastinate around those things that they don't want to do. Right. And we're all busy. So therefore, it's easiest to put those things in front of us that are the easiest to avoid. Right. We put on that things to do list. You don't put, if you for those folks who clean toilets, clean their house, they're gonna put the hard stuff last. Right. We'll do the fun stuff first. And so because we always have stuff to do. I mean, more often than not, people will say, "Oh yes, I had a 90-year-old woman. I swear to you, say to me, I'm gonna wait." She was 90. I wanted to say, "What you waiting for?" But I didn't.
Okay, this 90-year-old woman, and that's great. This is a great segue to hear about some of the horror stories. Let's start with this 90-year-old woman. She finds herself in your office, however she's gotten there, and you're talking to her about planning for when you're not going to be here between now and the next 10 years.
Well, so the thing is, it's like what I say to people all the time is estate plans don't have an expiration time, right? So it's not like, wait, let me ask you guys a question. Do you have your estate plan done, Anthony?
I do. I have will
Cricket.
healthcare directive. Yeah, and
power of attorney.
and
That's
power of
not
attorney.
enough. That's not enough. Fernando, do you have your estate plan done?
Nothing.
Those aren't enough.
Those three aren't enough. Why not, Fernando?
Never thought about it. Never. I'm very superstitious. Thinking if I do it, I'm going to die.
Really?
But you know what? You're not the first time I've heard that.
But I am going to contact you and I am going to do it because I see the value in it, right? Because I don't want it just to go into the abyss. I have 3 kids. If me and my wife tragically were to die together in a car accident, which happens all the time, I would want them to be scratching to figure out what they're going to do with our stuff. So
Right.
I'm going to be, is it expensive to do what you do? I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's a continuum, right? So it's like depending on what you get, right? But what I think is the interesting part about this is, I mean, I think you guys are regular people, right? Normal people who have money. So it's not.
Well, I don't know about to have the money part, but okay. I like regular, normal.
I have a little bit.
Right, I mean, but so it's but you just got finished saying, Fernando, like,
I got nothing.
who wouldn't do it? But you guys are, when I said regular, typical people who are smart, who are living in the world. And so therefore, you are the example. Now, the reality is Anthony has the plan that I say to people who are in high school. I mean, at college, right? That don't really have a lot of assets, don't have kids. No, that's the base 3. I say that you should have.
No, man. She said in high school, dude.
Rookie move. You're a freshman.
So when you're 18, you should have those 3 things.
When you're 18,
When you graduate from high school, that's what you need. Before you go to college, that's what your kids should have.
Well,
And the reason why, it's because, we're adults. It doesn't do a whole lot of managing stuff. It doesn't do a whole lot of planning. It doesn't think about legacy building. It doesn't think about how do we create and build. It just talks about how we just going to, get through. That's why I say it should be for people who don't have a lot of thinking to do about it, right? Just divide it equally between my kids. That's not how you
I
plan.
did
to
give
build
it some
anything.
thought, and I'll just be frank with you. My kids ain't getting jack.
Wow, that's cold.
So, and we know it ain't no man say, hey, ain't telling the truth. He ain't spent all that money on those kids for them to give him nothing.
I'm giving
Right?
them
That's
everything.
true. That's true.
I'm
Hey,
gonna give 'em
Melinda,
everything.
I don't know what made me say that, dear.
Yeah, that was cold.
But so that's why, again, but it is, we have such great opportunities to build up our generations and the next generations.
Right.
We can do that,
Wow.
but we don't.
What
It's like,
we don't.
again, Anthony is going through probate. Because, like, really? You know better than that.
Well,
you're not that
no.
busy then.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not know better than that because see what I have learned in my 36 plus years as a real estate professional is that persons are losing assets because there are more than one. There are siblings. Now I'm an only child, so I didn't have this issue. But
Singleton.
Yes.
So spoiled.
That's right. And so as a result, I have seen the horrors that come from siblings who somebody lives here, someone's paying, someone's not doing, yibbity, yibbity, yibbity. But the bottom line is no one can make a decision. And so I've always seen probate as a vehicle where a third party, not involved in this, with no skin in the game, comes and brings order to this situation so that, hey, you don't lose the asset that grandma has. If you're not going to pay to the tax bill, if you're not going to keep it up, it's all we all have seen the neighborhood properties that are sitting here vacant, deteriorating, and everybody is saying, why don't somebody do something with this house? Oh, well, that's Jimmy.
It's
and his
going through probate. We can't do nothing to it because it's going through probate.
No, not that it's going through probate. No, because I know that's not accurate. I tell people right away, there is no sitting around going through probate.
Oh, absolutely, there is too. Absolutely,
No,
there
okay,
is too.
You're about to get crushed. You're about to get
Let
crushed.
me just say to you, I have a number of properties where that it is until you get the letters of administration, you can't do squat. So
exactly. So you
that
need that.
But you have to no. If you have a probate thing. Now, if you have it in trust, it doesn't touch probate. I'm the trustee. When I die, my successor trustee is there. There's no gap. If I have a life estate deed, it passes outside of probate. There's no gap. But if there is let me just tell you, we have some stuff that we have been waiting for 8 months just to have the court review the documents.
Okay, this is post-pandemic. I get it. It's backed up. I get the
No, love. No, love. No.
Okay, what I'm hearing you say, and I'm going to repeat what I think I heard you say, is that you have other tools and ways to avoid all the yickety yak and squabbling that keeps assets from being properly distributed and moved on to the next generation. Because if it bypasses probate from you to the trustee or the next person, now the other people don't have no say in it. You can just say, hey man, it's already done. It went to Jimmy, and you all know Jimmy was mama's favorite, and that's why Jimmy is in charge and he running it now. And you ain't got no say in it. I get where you're going.
Or that again, especially when we think about blended families and stuff, but when we're planning for it, say, okay, so the house is in trust, it's an income producing property, and you each get distributions, right? Or let Jimmy live in, but he's got to pay 3%. I mean, 3 force of what the rent is, what the fair
He
market
ain't.
rent would be.
He ain't.
He
And he
ain't. Then he
don't.
gets out because it's in the trust,
Yeah,
right?
but you can't get him out because nobody's gonna get him out.
Not only can you get him out,
How
Water.
you get him out?
Water.
no. But see, no. We have money in the trust that would say that one will pay for it, and then he loses in his inheritance potential there. We get to incentivize all of those things as well as penalize.
Yeah, but Wilma ain't
Amy's
gonna do that.
cold.
Wilma
Amy
ain't
is
going.
cold.
Wilma is not going to do that to her baby.
No,
Oh,
but this is the
Amy
thing.
will.
Wilma wouldn't do it, but the lawyer Amy says,
Amy
"Let me
will.
tell you something, Wilma. If you don't do it, then Pebbles is jacked, and so she doesn't want Pebbles jacked, and she's dead, so she doesn't have to be the hammer, but she gets to have the rules that apply. And once the trust is written, if you don't comply with the trust, you're breaking the law.
You still got to go to Superior Court. You still got to go to probate court to get it enforced.
No, right. But then you know what? Even though let's say we have $1 million house.
Yeah.
Right. We have $1 million house.
I'd like to say that. I'd like to say that.
No, I mean in time, right? So the remember property appreciates, right?
Yes.
So with that being said, Jimmy tried to be a jerk for a minute. I have exactly this case happening right now. Jimmy was a jerk. We're in court getting him out, and we're charging him rent. So when his piece goes out, his inheritance gets diminished with each month.
When you finally are able to get him out.
And the thing is, he's gonna leave. He's got to leave eventually.
Why?
Right?
Why?
No.
Hold on. You started the story by saying where are these people going to go?
No. No. Probate court is much more expedient than landlord-tenant court when it comes to getting people out.
So angry.
Really?
He's not gonna, and he's not staying there the rest of his life, right?
I've seen him dig in.
You've seen him dig in, but when it's a civil court case,
I've seen you dig in. Oh, I've seen you dig in.
But again, a civil court case, they get out, and it costs them because usually they can say, well, I don't have any money, but if indeed they had an ownership right to the property, that gets diminished and transferred without them even having to give up their money because it's taken from them.
Amy's a star, Anthony. This is who you want fighting for you when you're dead. Right there.
No, the goal is to make it so we're not fighting in the end, right?
Yeah.
We put all those triggers in place ahead of time so that
but people are still going to fight, though, don't you think? People are still going to be like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
No, but see, this is what you don't know. It doesn't matter. But wait, right. Ignorance is no defense of the law.
Right.
You may not know, but it costs you a lot. It will keep costing you that. You could say, I don't need to, didn't know I had to pay taxes. Doesn't mean the interest don't keep racking up. Right.
Aimee, we are having such a great time with you. I see we're coming up on the top of the hour. You don't know. This is a 30-minute show, and we already towards the top of the hour with you. So here's what I know. I went to your website. I tried the Dickens to find a number to call you, but your new fancy website.
It's on people say that all the time. It's the very top number, 855 at the top of the screen.
Yeah, I didn't see it. So I see a link here on how to contact us, and the people can see that. But go ahead and tell the people out here, how do they call you? How do they get in touch with you? Come on.
Our phone number is 855-574-8481.
I'm gonna do that again. It's 855
574 8481.
8481. And what's the email address?
The easy URL is yourestateplanningattorney.com is easy to remember, but my email is
hold on, the easy URL.
Yeah, because when you get the TGF-PLLC, no one remembers that. But it's your estate planning attorney.
Your estate can I spell estate planning attorney.com? .com? Is that right? .com?
Hey, Aimee, are all the other ladies that work with you, because I was just on your website, are they like bulldogs like you? They
And
mean and
we are cut from the
strong.
same cloth. I mean, some of them are a little nicer than me, but I don't let them stay that way.
Okay, how's that? Did I get that right? Is that the
You got
right
that
number?
right.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, wonderful. Everybody, this is Aimee Griffin with Legacy
Unbelievable.
Counselors. It's a Black-owned and women-owned law firm that's doing estate planning, estate administration, business planning, elder service, faith. They
So our
provide
core values are faith, excellence, relationship, service.
There you go. Their core values are faith, excellence, relationships, and service, trustworthiness. She is all of that. She embodies it. Her people that she has brought on to this all women's only. I mean, you know what? Anytime you can be in the presence of women only,
Here
you
we
are.
go. Here we go.
I'm just saying, you just want to come by for women only. When is there anything bad comes out of women only?
That haircut, that's what came out of that.
And she is here, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. There's her number again. They are, oh, hold on. I bet you who it is. Come on. Let's see. There he is, everybody. Aimee, I'm sorry. I know you're wondering what's going on. It's Virginia Bushcrafter, our number one fan. I'm so glad I saw this episode. Look at that. It is, look at that. That's the Virginia Bushcrafter. It's worth $1 million class lesson.
Excellent.
Aimee, the Virginia Bushcrafter is our number one fan. He came from the first episode, all 40 episodes in season 1.
Wow.
He's and you know what? I don't even think about it. The guy is right there. He's out there in the bushes, watching this program.
Tonight he's in his house, Aimee. All right, don't let.
See, it's Wi-Fi, right?
But let me just say, one of the best shows we've ever had. It was really informative. Really informative. Strong.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes, indeed. So, Aimee, as we approach the closing minutes and all, share with the people. We try to give you the last word. You don't get the last word because I get the last word, but close to the last word. We say that. That's what they teach us to say in the game, in the TV game. You can have the last word, and then they go on and keep running their mouth. So,
can you give it a rest, Anthony? Let her talk.
Come on, dear. Take us home.
So what I want to say to folks is we really need to be about thinking beyond ourselves, right? The discomfort of having the conversations that may seem like a hard conversation for the people that we love, the people that we care about. I would say it's not just about our children's children. And it's not just about our biological children, but it's about our community children, our spiritual children, the people that we don't even know, but that will we impact. Let's be thoughtful about building for tomorrow, today.
Do you include the family in this planning when you're doing it so they know what's going on?
So I would say that, and many times we do, there are many people, like I'm having family meetings on Monday with a number of families that, that's coming together, business owners typically, but it is like, because they're, I'm one of those people who's like, this is how it is, this is going to be. But many people are much nicer. And want to say, this is how I'd like it to be. What do you think? How do you feel? But it's all about empowering people, especially when we're making those plans that go for multiple generations. Because I think that those are the best plans, that have multiple generations included.
Right. So yeah, so you could bring your kids in, man. You could bring your lady into the conversation, right? Stop dragging your knuckles, man. Have your family be a part of the future planning.
I'm all in on this.
I love it. I
like the value of it, no matter what it costs, to be honest. It's probably not gonna be cheap, but what are you gonna do?
Well, we say cost versus value.
Yeah.
Look at that.
She's got everything down. I mean, she is so strong.
I know.
You're the first guest, by the way, we haven't stumped with anything. You've hit us back twice as hard as we've hit you. I'm a little bruised right now. Yeah.
I have enjoyed you
Okay.
all.
Well, we have enjoyed this show, everybody. Again, everybody, Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Chasing Gazillions. Not the same as Making Millions.
But it's getting closer in Aimee's world.
That's right. It is.
If you do the right estate plan, it'll get real close.
That's right. Wednesdays with Fernando and Anthony here bringing you quality information, valuable information to help you, your family, your businesses to thrive, to excel, to prosper, to grow, to transition, to pass it on, not just to the next generation, not just to your kids, but to your kids' kids. That's where you should have your focus on, not just spending it all today, but rather planting seeds that will grow and produce a wealth of opportunity and prosperity for generations to come. And they'll all be looking back, carrying your name, saying, hey, my great-great-granddaddy planted this seed for us, and look how we get to enjoy it. And he had Aimee Griffin and her team put it all together for them. Hey, I want to thank you all for coming out. Want to thank first our guest, Aimee Griffin, everybody, for coming out tonight and sharing this information with us. It has been a wonderful experience. Thank you so much, Aimee. This has been great, and this has been exciting. If you watch the rest of season 2 as we go along, you'll know it takes a lot to move Fernando, and you have. Go ahead, Fernando. What do you want to say to the people before we close out?
Great show. This is the kind of guests we're bringing season 2, though. Strong, informative, smart people that can help your life become a better life. I mean, this is going to help someone hopefully out there. And hopefully that one's me. Hopefully it's me.
Well, yeah. I mean, we like the business too as real estate professionals. We like the referrals, but Aimee, you can expect people to be calling you because everybody who's come on our show last year, they all come up to us and they say, "Oh man, dude, you know, so and so's calling and this and thank you," and we appreciate that. That's why we're in season 2, because we know that it's making a difference. Everybody, I'm Anthony Bowling with the Anthony Bowling Group. And remember, our leverage relationships, like Aimee, will save you time and make you money, right? There you go. Our leverage relationships are going to do that. You all take care. I love you. If nobody else told you today that they love you, just remember, Anthony loves you, and it ain't nothing you can do about that.
Oh, Jesus. All right. All right. See ya.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.